Hey everyone, welcome to Locked On Lakers for Monday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky, no LeBron James, no Luka Dončić in Sacramento. No problem for the Lakers as Austin Reaves dropped 51 in a win. We'll tell you about it next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers your first listen of every day, Monday through Friday. No matter where you get your podcasts, this one's always going to be free, not locked behind a paywall. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where over 36,000 subscribers, Andy, are all really stoked about what the Lakers did on Sunday night in Sacramento without Luka Dončić in the lineup. He was added to the growing list of Lakers injuries. He didn't play, but the Lakers win anyway. They beat Sacramento 127-120. Tell you all about it in a second here after we tell you that today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. So the day got off to a bad start, I think, for most Lakers fans, Andy, when we got the news that LeBron and his skinny fingers,
Luka and his skinny fingers.
I'm sorry, yeah, Luka and his skinny fingers will be missing the game. He has a sprained finger on his left hand and a lower leg contusion. He's going to miss at least a week, be reevaluated. So with the game Sunday, back-to-back on Monday, at least a week is about 4 or 5 games. So he's going to be out for a bit. Jaxson Hayes unavailable for Sunday's game in Sacramento with a knee injury. So it was looking kind of grim, Andy, but it didn't turn out that way. This was a great victory for the Lakers.
Yeah, just add a little more context to Luka's situation before we get into the game. Sources told Dave McMenamin, sources told Dan Wojcicki from The Athletic, Dave McMenamin from ESPN, and then Jovan Buha's block. They all were told that the Lakers' level of concern over Luka is pretty minor, and they're all pretty confident that while a week without Luka is obviously an obstacle that needs to be overcome, there is not a lot of concern that this is going to stretch into 2 weeks, 3 weeks. All of a sudden, he's out nearly as long as LeBron is. That does not guarantee the lack of concern that Luka will be back in like a week, but at least internally, 3 different pretty plugged-in reporters are hearing that the Lakers are fairly confident that this will only last a week, which is good because who knows exactly how long, and this was a development in game, the Lakers could be without Gabe Vincent, who sprained his ankle during this game. Got tangled up sort of in a massive...
It looked like he landed on
Deandre Ayton's foot on top of sort of being in a tight space. He knew immediately he could not keep
went
playing.
Walked. They were on the baseline connected to like the Lakers locker room, walked straight there. Did not pass go, did not collect $200. The Lakers actually lost Marcus Smart for a little bit of that game. He came back into the game late.
Very Daniel LaRusso's going to fight. I mean, it was pretty amazing. He came back in for like the last 90 seconds or so of this game that was still very much tightly contested. And that was in a lot of ways. I mean, obviously, Austin's 51-point near triple-double. He was 1 assist shy of a triple-double, a 9-2 assist-to-turnover ratio, which is pretty amazing when you consider how much the ball was in Austin's hands, like the advanced metrics of this game.
And this is on top of 11-1 on Friday. So his last 2 games, he's got 20 assists and 3 turnovers.
But at least in that game, he was sharing some of the responsibility, not just with Luka, but with Gabe and with Marcus Smart. In this game, for a variety of circumstances, Austin had the ball in his hands by himself. I imagine his usage rating is going to be somewhere in the high 30s. Yeah, I mean, 40s. His usage rating might be as high as his point total. So with that in mind, it's pretty amazing that he managed to take care of the ball this way. There were a lot of really great performances we'll get into, but the collective resolve of this team, despite these circumstances this is really a win they should be proud of because they damn well earned it, man. They worked so hard to earn this win.
They came out and, I think Sacramento, it's very possible Sacramento thought maybe they were going to get an easier run. The Kings are a weird team, to say the least. I would not want to be doing Locked On Kings all season.
What up, Matt George?
That's just doesn't.
Matt George is both too good of a person and too good at his job to deserve this fate.
It's just not. God, they were so good a couple years ago. So much fun. They're not anymore. So, I don't know. I hope
they return that beam. Maybe
that does not get a lot of work. It's like the Lakers used to drop the streamers and stuff like that, and they reached after everywhere. I think they still do it, but they dropped the streamers down and all that stuff. Like they reached a stretch where the streamers had dust skeletons, they just weren't used very often. I feel like that's going to happen to the beam, but you look at what the Lakers did, and they came out and they sort of surprised, I think, Sacramento a little bit with the energy and the effort, and you're like, okay, this is what it requires to win without your two best players. But eventually, effort can be matched. Sacramento hit some threes. Every time the Kings made a push, the Lakers had an answer. The Kings went ahead a couple times, and it looked like it's going to be a shame. The Lakers always had an answer. Now, and that was driven by AR. There is no question. But it was collective, like you say. They got the performance that they needed from Reaves, who has tended to play well in games where he is the featured player, whether that's without LeBron and AD in the lineup or without LeBron and Luka in the lineup. This is not a new thing for Reaves to go off in these games. And he was definitely the impetus for it. But it was a really good collective victory. But again, it starts with what Austin Reaves did. It was really a flawless game.
It was actually pretty hilarious. And obviously, Luka has scored 50 points before. He has scored 60 points before. I believe his career high is 73. But in the win over Minnesota, Luka had the opportunity, was in the game to try to hit 50. And he missed free throws. And eventually JJ said, well, I gave you your shot. I need to take you out of this game because I can't have you getting hurt. And as it turned out, he actually, we all thought he was playing with that finger. I don't think anybody, including JJ, was even aware of the leg thing because I think
he was contused.
Well, JJ said that he wasn't quite sure when this happened. But my point is the feeling that if JJ had been aware of it, he wouldn't have allowed Luka to stay in just to get 50. He would have pulled him out and said, I'm pretty confident it'll happen at some point again. But Austin ended up hitting free throws to put him over the top from 50 into 51, which is kind of funny and ironic considering, Austin's a good player, but Luka's Luka.
Yeah.
And the Lakers, by the way, 3 for 3 with players putting up 40 plus.
I actually tweeted during the game. I was like, there's got to be somebody secretly on the bench who's hoping AR misses a game or two coming up because somebody gets to score 40 plus a game. That's just the rule. Laravia's down there going, it's going to be my turn eventually, baby. Let's do this. But I just, we'll get to Deandre Ayton for sure over the course of this game.
Terrific.
He was fantastic. And Smart had, a bunch of country, but I really like too the way the Lakers approached this game. They hit some threes late that brought their percentages way up, compared to what they were. It still wasn't great. I think they finished 32%. Yeah, 8 of 25. But for a while, they were in the teens. But I think at halftime, it was 2 for 11. So, the numerator sucks. 2, not good. But you're controlling the denominator. They kept that game close because they attacked relentlessly a team with bad rim protection and bad defenders. And they got themselves to the line. And I'm sure Kings fans are like, the free throw discrepancy here was absurd. 46 for the Lakers, 18 for Sacramento. But like, I'm watching that game going, the Lakers earned these free throws.
Let's get into that coming up next, because they earned it through physicality, but they also earned it through another way that I think was really important, especially considering their circumstances in this game. So we'll get into that coming up next. Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether you're talking 401ks, properties, or investments. If you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why you got Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. It's built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. You can link all your accounts together in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart characterization of your spending without ever even touching a spreadsheet. And like my daughter, she just started high school, which means you got to start thinking about college and tuition and different dorm expenses and whatnot. And like, that's daunting. Monarch can help me streamline my spending, figure out areas to be more efficient, and just create a plan for the next step. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code LOCKEDONNBA.
Locked on Lakers is also brought to you by Game Time. Basketball season, as we all know, it's officially here. And nothing beats being in the arena for these opening games, but getting tickets can be a headache between waiting in queues, surprise fees, prices that jump right before checkout. It's easy to get frustrated. Really, all you want to do is get in the building and know how it's going to happen. And this is where Game Time comes in. It's the app it gives you, as a fan, the advantage. It's the ultimate hack for scoring NBA tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. I use Game Time all the time to go take my kids to soccer games in town. Like, we go to Angel City, we go to LAFC, and we will do the thing where you check in the day of the game or the day before, whatever it is, or leading right up to game time, and know exactly, like, hey, what's available. You get the best seats that you can see exactly where you're going to sit, get the best price. You know exactly what the price is going to be, no surprise fees, and you're there, and you can decide, I want these tickets, I don't. You're ready to go to the game. You can even find NBA tickets under $25. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. All right. So many things, Andy, we want to cover. Where you're talking about Deandre Ayton, a couple big shots from Jake LaRavia off the bench.
We met Chris Manion.
We did. He had a good 3 minutes.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Of playing time. Jared Vanderbilt made a big impact in this game. But before we get to some of those guys, and even more maybe about Reaves, again, 21 of 22 from the line for Reaves, 12 of 22 from the field, 6 of 10 from three-point range on a night where the Lakers generally were not great from three. 9 assists. The Lakers as a team, I mentioned the 46 trips to the line. They made 41 of those free throw attempts. That is a 89% rate. That is fantastic. It doesn't matter if you get to the line, if you don't take advantage of that.
Yeah, we saw that against Golden State on opening night,
for example. And so, but before we get to that stuff, I had mentioned that I loved how the Lakers approached this game, where they did not fall in love with the three. They did not get three happy. And so even while they weren't shooting it well, they were staying in the game because they were getting themselves a line. And it looked to me, sitting at home, that this wasn't like the refs reffing two different games here. The Lakers, like you said before the break, Andy, brought it through physicality. They brought the game to Sacramento, and they earned those trips to the line.
Their physicality and their relentlessness in this game was constant through 48 minutes. JJ actually said that the big challenge before this game was playing with our edge. Those were his exact words. And he said that he thought this was the first game where they had it for 48 minutes. He didn't think they really had it at all against Golden State, no argument. And then he thought that they had it as the Minnesota game went along, but they didn't begin with it.
Yep.
This was a game where from the opening tip, regardless of every possession, whether you thought the Lakers played well in that possession, played poorly, whatever, they played hard constantly. And that plays a role in getting the line. But also, to be totally honest, Sacramento, often playing really effing stupid, sent the Lakers to the line as well. They had near back-to-back three-point shooting fouls. First against Gabe Vincent, then against Austin Reaves. Both obvious fouls, both bailout fouls, particularly the one against Austin. Like, it was just stupid. They had a couple, at least off the top of my head, I can remember 2 fouls committed in the backcourt, like around the inbound sequence. Like, I mean, they just made stupid plays, like really undisciplined plays that I think are kind of typical for a team that doesn't have a lot of defenders, and they're trying to offset this in some way. But even someone like Keon Ellis, who is a very good defender, Keon Ellis made a lot of stupid mistakes in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And that honestly played a really big role in the Lakers winning this. Like, the Sacramento played, I thought, a really unintelligent game and helped the Lakers overcome the disadvantage of who they were missing.
Stupidity on defense is contagious. Like,
Yeah.
it just is. And when there are certain players who play and you don't realize they're decent defenders until they get on another team. Like, it can be very difficult to play under those circumstances. But I just appreciate, like, you talked about, it got me thinking about Smart's comments when JJ said that post game about, that edge, playing with that edge. It got me thinking about what Smart had said at practice last week, which was about, being the team that makes the rules. And they were unquestionably the team on Sunday that made the rules. Sacramento, they stayed in the game with some Russ 3-point shooting that you wouldn't necessarily expect. And, some things like they made some shots, but the Lakers made the rules of this game. And it started with Reaves, who was, we mentioned in the previous segment, just basically flawless on Sunday night. But he wasn't the only guy there. Like, this was a game I talked in preseason. The Lakers are going to need DeAndre Ayton to get, 8 to 12 rebounds a night. Like, that's what and be engaged defensively every night and whatever. Score 10 to 15, 60. That's fine, but there will be a handful of games over the course of the season where they need a lot more. This was one of them. And man alive, Andy, did Ayton respond.
I tweeted out during this game at Cam Brothers, I'm not saying this game is evidence that DeAndre Ayton will commit all season to hustling hard on both ends of the floor, but it's definitely evidence of how effective DeAndre Ayton can be when he commits to hustling on both ends of the floor. He made a lot happen in this game through just effort on both sides of the ball. He had a chase down block after
a play.
But it was after a turnover that he committed. And there were several plays where Ayton got beat on a defensive possession, but did not give up. He was very, very disruptive in the lane. He was out in space, often challenging shots. You can obviously see it in a 15 rebound, 5 on the offensive glass stat line, but the disruptiveness with which he was playing and the effort and that relentlessness. We had talked before about, a couple times with Ayton and that Shaq saying, feed the big dog if you wanted to protect the porch. This was a game where Ayton was getting fed and he protected that porch, but it did not feel like there was a contingency plan in place. I saw something.
Well, I just want to make sure people that get the full line, because I don't know if we've actually said it. You mentioned the 15 rebounds, 5 on the offensive glass, 10 of 17 from the floor. So an incredibly efficient evening from Ayton as well. He also had a couple of dimes, was part of a Lakers team that, generally speaking, moved the ball very well, found open men when they were available, had a steal and a block.
Yeah, and there was something I noticed in this game that I thought was interesting. There were a lot of plays where they were finding effectiveness with Ayton around the rim, not specifically through the two-man game that all of us have talked about, and even the Lakers have talked about largely defined through pick and roll, but rather just Ayton getting himself situated by the rim and the Lakers just finding him. And it felt like a lot during this game that Ayton it wasn't solely this way. He did run in some two-man action, but it felt like there was a certain amount of just simplicity, like find big target, give him the ball, don't overthink this. And over the course of the season, obviously, they're going to get more sophisticated and complex because you need it to. But it felt like today they just scaled it back and it was like, look, man, just get down low. We'll find you. We'll get you the ball.
And also, too, just, he's not a guy. I think Lakers fans are looking for a player who's going to, set that screen, roll hard to the basket, get that, the pass and like throw it down. And there'll be some plays like that.
He had a couple good dunks in this game.
He did, but he's also a guy who is going to pull up, and he loves the elbow jumper. Like, one of the flaws, characteristics, whatever you want to call it, of Ayton is he is not a guy who gets to the line much. He does not take the ball, 2 dribbles strong, finish through contact. So it happens, but that's not his strength. But what you still want to see is aggressiveness in taking your shot. If the shot that you want to take is a turnaround, then aggressively looking for that turnaround. And if your shot is the elbow jumper because they're pulling back on the pick and roll and they're in that drop and you're confident in it, confidently get up and take that jumper. And so we saw the offense 10 of 17 is a phenomenal night for Ayton. But then the 15 rebounds are huge. And, a couple sequences late in the game where on the offensive glass, he started to get the ball, then lost the ball and they got it back. Like, it's just disruptive when he's down there doing that. Sacramento can't get out. Even if he doesn't get the ball, it causes Sacramento to have to secure a rebound and they can't get out in transition. And it has a huge effect. And after the break, I want to ask you about the potential significance of games like this for someone like Ayton, given the circumstances the Lakers are in. So we'll do that next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, as we all know, because we're talking about it. NFL is back, but the NBA is back, and that's what the copy says. And once it's emphasized, there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA, which I'm sure is very important too, if nothing else, the NBA. Even if you miss the start of this game and want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up, play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
All right. So I look at this and you don't want to be playing without Luka. You don't want to be playing without LeBron. You certainly don't want to be playing without Luka and LeBron. And, Jaxson Hayes was missing and, which is a big deal when you're already short players. And, it looks like Gabe could be on the shelf for a minute or two.
I was going to say for clarity's sake, we don't know much. JJ was asked after the game about Gabe, and he said he did not know much. But
there wasn't enough time. Right.
There wasn't enough time. Try to be optimistic. I would be, if nothing else, I'd be stunned if he played against Portland the day after this.
This was, when a guy goes straight into the locker room and does not come back. I mean, Marcus, the Smart injury, for example. You mentioned, you kind of made the joke about Daniel LaRusso is going to fight. They are on the bench working and kind of moving his knee around. It looked like
he first went to a bike.
He went right, and then he went back and he rode the bike for a little while. And I think it's to keep everything loose. Once you stop playing, for the night, if you get on a plane, you go to Portland. they'll have to see what happens with them. They're going to be very careful with Smart. And so if there is a sense that he might be banged up and can't play him, they're gonna hold him out of that game on Monday night in Portland. And so the Lakers could be very shorthanded, which is why it was so critical that they won this game. Like, you're going to be without Luka for a couple games. You're may not have Vincent. So there's some potentially winnable games that you might have. You might just not have the roster to win now.
Yeah, especially too, like Jaxson, he's now been out for a couple games, but had been questionable, which means
it hasn't gotten better.
Well, it means they're trying to get him out there, and they keep thinking that it might be a possibility, which glass half empty means he might be getting close. Glass half empty means they keep trying and they're not getting there. So they're going to have to ride out this period where, unfortunately, they've had several games stacked on top of each other. They had the game on Friday, play Sunday, they play Monday, they play Wednesday, they play on Friday. Like, they've got a lot of games in bunches, and they're going to have to figure out this period, perhaps shorthanded. I mean, we talked about Chris Manion's 3 minutes. The biggest thing that jumped out at me that was, I think, important considering this context now, he did not appear overwhelmed at all by surprise duty getting tossed into the fire, because I'm pretty confident Chris Manion did not arrive in whatever the hell Sacramento's arena is called expecting to play in this game.
Oh, it's like the Golden
like Golden One Center, maybe?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, like, I don't think he expected to play.
No,
and
no.
he wasn't. Yeah,
Manion is an older rookie. He's 23 years old.
They've been high on him. I mean, there's a reason they kept him with two-way status despite him being injured the entire training camp.
Yeah, he played great in the summer league for Golden State. And so, yeah, I mean, you don't want to have to play these guys, but you can look at two-way players in two ways. You are looking for prospects, guys you can bring along and stuff like that, or a guy who can, you can sort of reliably step in to give you reasonable break glass in case of emergency minutes. Ideally, your players are both, but we'll see. Like, it's interesting. Like, you went that way with making Manion available to you in this game versus Smith. There's a limit as to how much all of these guys can play over the course of 82
frankly,
games.
playing Bronny.
Yeah, or Bronny. Yeah, for sure. So we'll see. But I for somebody like Deandre Ayton, I have to think there is value in being put in this situation where it's not like we're not fitting in here. This isn't, you're behind AR, you're behind Luka, obviously. We want you to be aggressive, but your job isn't to go score. You get into this game on Sunday, and it's like, dude, we need a big game from you. Like, we need you to produce frontline numbers. And they leaned on him hard, and he responded. And if you're somebody like him with that backstory and all the conversation that comes with him joining a team like the Lakers, I hesitate to say that this is going to be the jumping off point for something spectacular over the course of the season. But I do think it can be a very, very positive kind of thing that pushes him forward.
Especially, too, it's because he flourished in no small part because of the effort and the tenacity and all the things that Deandre Ayton, in some ways very fairly, has been criticized for not exhibiting consistently over the course of his career. Like, nobody would ever be shocked at the idea of Deandre Ayton putting up 22 and 15. Like, that's not surprising at all for him. But a night where he gets both the numbers, which is what the detractors will say, that's all Ayton cares about, is just his numbers, where he gets the numbers, but the numbers are often the direct result of the effort and how much he can see as it's happening. hey, this is a play that will not show up in the stat sheet, but I know it happened because of my effort on a team that's serious and that matters, and that they went into this game without their two best players. And he stepped up, and like he stepped up in ways that aren't just about his numbers. I think you're exactly right. Like this is where you get the reward for doing the things, and you get rewarded for doing the little things and the quote unquote big things.
The big things, yeah,
end up part of it too. It's the perfect result.
And it's funny, like you frame things as stepping up, and it's very apt. AR stepped up. It's like, you're down your 2 stars. Like they're not going to win this game without a really good game from Austin Reaves. Like 51 ends up being way beyond just really good. But, the baseline for are we going to have a chance in this game is Reaves going to have to go out and have a really good game. We've seen it before, though. There's no doubt among most people. You'll see it on the chat board, whatever. There's still people who claim that he's a reserve, masquerading as a starter. He doesn't, no sane team would give him 30 million and so on. That it's stepping up in a way where you're like, okay, it's your turn now. We know you're capable. We've seen it. We know Ayton is capable of it, but like the level of doubt that is attached to him versus the level of doubt attached to Reaves, when you need this kind of performance, it's very different. And we saw in the Minnesota game, especially in the second half, like I would even say from the second quarter on, what fifth gear it looks like compared to third gear. It's like, oh, okay. And on Sunday, it was fifth gear the whole game, over 35 minutes against a good center in Domantas Sabonis.
Yeah, he outplayed Sabonis. There's no
by
question.
A lot.
He outplayed Sabonis in this game, which, boy, I don't want to kick AD while he's down dealing with just a mess of a Dallas team. But like, just Sabonis has often been seen as his kryptonite. You bring in DeAndre Ayton, who is not as accomplished a player as Anthony Davis, but all of a sudden he outplays Sabonis. It just feels almost like cruel irony. But that tenacity too.
Dallas won on Sunday. Give him a break.
They did. And Anthony Davis is not the problem in Dallas, just to make sure that is crystal clear. He's the least of their problems. But the tenacity we're talking about with Ayton, and obviously the way Austin Reaves kept attacking. Rui Hachimura tonight, 18 points, did not hit a 3, but got to, he got 4 trips to the line, which for Rui is a pretty good night. He continues to be exhibiting 3-level scoring. He's doing a lot of cutting to the rim. He's doing really good work on these turnaround middies. He was really active throughout this game, 2 steals, 3 rebounds, but I do think the 3 won't seem like it was impressive, but Rui was doing a lot of work keeping bodies off, keeping Sacramento bodies away from the ball.
It's an effort and awareness thing.
And Marcus Smart, 11 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds. That activity that you expect from Smart. He got to the line 6 times, came back in at the end of the game, which is inspiring for his teammates. Jared Vanderbilt was all over the place, 9 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, super active. Jake LaRavia, I thought this was a really nice game for Jake. 11 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. And all of those guys were just, again, aggressive and relentless. And I hope that, if, among other things, this game really grows their confidence in terms of what they can do, even without their best players. Like they can force, as you said in the beginning of the show, the rules, despite not having their 2 best players. That's a big deal.
So we'll quit here and we'll be back obviously after the game on Monday night. But it is Monday in Portland, Wednesday in Minnesota. Obviously, the Timberwolves will be looking for a certain measure of revenge. You get the Grizzlies on Friday. They're a box of chocolates, to say the least. And then the Heat on, I believe that's Sunday. So you're looking at all 4.
They just had a big win over the Knicks.
They did. And you're looking, Norm Powell is balling. You're looking at 4 games all on the road, all without your two best players. So to get this game on Sunday is huge, both sort of confidence wise, and it's also really important from like a
standpoint,
treading water kind of thing. Realistically, if you got these 4 road games, you can figure out a way to win 1 or 2 of them. It's hard to complain. So they got one out of the way on Sunday. So big win for the Lakers. Great performances up and down the roster. A lot of fun to watch. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go hang out with over 36,000 subscribers. We'll see everyone after the game on Monday. Hopefully another big win for LA. Everyone have a good day.